Hello friends, welcome to my channel. I'm Em and my books are everywhere. Today I'm going to be recapping the Keep Me in Suspense Readathon, my participation in it. This was a readathon that was started by Jeanette at Jane Reads, and it's co-hosted by Caitlin at Chronicles of a Book Nerd and Amanda at Book Lover Amanda. And here's the graphic with the 5 prompts, and let's get started. So the first prompt is Partner in Solving Crime, a book from a favorite author. So it should come as no surprise to any of you that have watched other videos in my channel. My favorite author is Agatha Christie, and so I had to pick an Agatha Christie book for this readathon, even though I wouldn't necessarily categorize her as suspense. But a murder is announced. This is one of my favorite Agatha Christie books. I reread it quite frequently. I did talk about it when I did the Unicorn Book Tag Agatha Christie edition, and I'll link that video down below. This is the 4th Miss Marple book. Now, Miss Marple books are pretty much standalone, so you don't have to read them in any particular order, but this was the 4th one of her books that came out. So this book starts just after World War II, and in the local paper there's personal ads, and there's one ad that reads, "A murder is announced and will take place on Friday, October 29th at Little Paddocks at 6:30 p.m. Friends, please accept this, the only intimation." So this ad gets seen by the people in the town, and they all show up at Little Paddocks on that Friday night at just before 7:30. And the lady that lives there, she's like, "I don't know what this is. I didn't put that ad in the paper, but let's get ready because people are going to be coming over." So she kind of arranges like a little party not party. And during that party not party, there is a real murder that happens. Everybody thinks that they're going for the murder game, where someone pretends to be the murderer, someone is the victim, but there's an actual victim, someone really dies. And Miss Marple happens to be in a neighboring town, and she has an honorary niece that was actually there at Little Paddocks on that Friday. So she invites herself to stay with her, and also invites herself into investigating the murder. This book has such great characters, secret identities, rationing shenanigans, a cake called Delicious Death, and a cat that helps solve the crime. Now, I stand by my opinion that Agatha Christie is not only the queen of crime and the queen of mystery, she is also the progenitor of the cozy mystery. So I know people say that Agatha Christie isn't cozy, that there's, all these things that are happening in her books, and they are, but they're not happening on the surface. On the surface, you have lots of witty banter, you have cozy villages, places that you would just want to visit, and characters that are hilarious. There's lots of laughs in an Agatha Christie. And really, when you think of more modern cozy mysteries, it's always a cute little town. It's always quirky characters. It's always lighthearted. There's lots of laughs. Agatha Christie did that way back in the 20s and 30s and 40s. This book was originally published in 1950. Yeah, because it takes place soon after World War II. But she had it all back then, before this whole slew of cozy mysteries that we have nowadays. So I gave this book 5 stars. I give it 5 stars every time I read it. I've already read it. I think this was my 3rd time reading it this year, if not the 4th time. And I'll probably read it one more time before the year is over because, like I said, it is one of my very favorite Agatha Christie's. The next prompt is Race Against Time, a book under 250 pages. So for this, I picked Silent Enemy by Lois Richer, and I was really excited to read this book because it takes place in Peru, and I did go to Peru when I was a little kid. And there I have family that's Peruvian, and so I grew up eating a lot of Peruvian food. And in this book, there are some great mentions of some of my favorites. So the very first thing is in Peru, there's a soda called Inca Kola, and it is called the Golden Cola. And it, to me, I've always described it as a combination of like pineapple and bubble gum as far as the flavor. And so they mention it in here. Inca Kola, the boyish waiter, grinned at her choice of a favorite Peruvian drink. Daniel was still on the phone when the boy brought her the fizzy soft drink. She took a sip and let the cream soda flavor mixed with a hint of bubblegum soothe her dry throat. So, like I said, I think of it more as like pineapple and bubblegum. They describe it as cream soda and bubblegum here, and it is like a fluorescent yellow in color. And I'll put a picture of the can right here. That's Inca Kola, and one of my favorite Peruvian things. And then right on the next page, they talk about another Peruvian drink, also one of my favorites. And this is Chicha Morada, and that is described here as an old Inca drink made from purple corn infused in water with pineapples, sugar, lemon juice, and cinnamon served over ice. It is so good. And recently I did go to a Peruvian restaurant here near where I live, and that's the drink that I had that night, and it's delicious. And then the final food that's mentioned in here, and they don't name it, so guys, don't judge me. It's marinated grilled beef heart. It's so delicious, and it's called Anticuchos, and so good. It doesn't have the texture that you think that it will have, and the taste is amazing when it's done right. As far as the story, I did enjoy this book. And in this book, we follow Samantha Henderson, who recovers lost treasures for a company called Finders, Inc. And while she's hunting down a stolen statue, she gets into a bit of a jam. Now, she has a problem trusting people and trusting God because of many things that have happened in her past. And when she gets into that pickle, her boss that she doesn't get along with has to kind of come and help her out. And that's like, he's reluctant to help her out, and she's reluctant to accept the help. And I did really enjoy this book. The adventure was fun, but I did feel like Samantha or Sam made some choices that just frustrated me. And also, there was a lot of miscommunication in this, which is one of my least favorite tropes. Like, it's not my favorite. And I don't like to be in that reading space where that is going on, and it did happen quite a bit in this book, which was a shame. And then also, while there was faith content in here throughout the book, I felt like it was kind of shoehorned in, that it wasn't just natural in the storyline that was happening. But still, I enjoyed it, and I gave this 3.5 stars. The next prompt is Rookie Officer, the first book in a series. So the first book in the mainly needlepoint series is Twisted Threads by Leah Waite. I don't have that book. I read it as an ebook, so I'll put the picture right here. In this book, our protagonist is Annie Curtis, and she has gone back to her hometown because her mother, who had disappeared several years before, is found dead. And she wants to know who did it, who and what happened. And then also her grandmother, Charlotte, has a needlecraft business that is kind of going under because she had hired a business manager, or was working with someone that was acting as a business manager, and he kind of ghosted her, and so they haven't gotten paid, and they don't know who to send their orders to. So basically in this business, she and a bunch of her friends will do different stitching projects by order, and then by custom order, and then they give them to the business manager, and then he delivers them to the client. He picks up the money from the client, keeps his share, and then gives the rest of the money to Charlotte, and she divvies it up to the rest of the people that are doing the stitching. But she hasn't been able to contact him for several months, and so they don't know who to give the orders to that they've finished. They also haven't gotten paid, and they're not getting any more orders. So their business is in a pickle, and Angie now has to try to help her grandma out, try to get the business all sorted out, and also she wants to find out who killed her mom. Now, if you know me, you know that I love cozy mysteries. It's like my favorite thing to read, and I can read them all day long, every day, all month long, all year long. This one also involved needlecraft, which also I love crafts of all kind. I love to cross stitch. It's one of my favorite crafts to do. So you would think that this book would be right up my alley and for me. However, this book was well written and the mystery was good, but content warning that I didn't have is that there is a storyline of child sexual abuse, and that just really bothered me so much that I couldn't enjoy the book the way I wanted to, because there was hints, and with the very first hint I was like, oh no, is this book going there? Now, I have talked about this in another video, and I'll link that one below. That made the whole book not enjoyable for me. So I did end up giving it 3 stars because it was well written, but I'm not sure that I would continue in this series. If anybody has read this series, this is the mainly needlepoint series by Leah Waite. Please let me know if the rest of the books deal with topics like that, or give me content warnings. If there isn't anything else like that in the rest of the series, I would continue it, because I did enjoy the grandmother and her stitching friends, and that whole setup of that business. And like I said, it was very well written. So please let me know if you have read this series past the first one. Does it continue to deal with topics such as that, or if there's any content warnings that you can provide, I would appreciate that. The 4th prompt is call for backup, a friend recommendation. So I read Shades of Earl Grey by Laura Childs, and this is the 3rd book in a Tea Shop mystery series. And Amy Marie mentioned this in one of her, or maybe in a couple of her cozy mystery videos. I don't know if she's read this particular book, but she mentioned the series, and I had already read book 1 and 2, and so I wanted to read book 3. So if it's cheating, I cheated, and I called this a friend recommendation for book number 3, Shades of Earl Grey. So in this book, we're back in the Indigo Tea Shop in Charleston, and Theodosia Browning is the owner, and she's expanding her business. So now she's including tea-based spa products, and she's also trying to solve this rash of burglaries that's happening in their neighborhood, where things are being burgled that are very pricey antiques, very high-end antiques. This was such a fun book. This was what I consider a cozy mystery. There weren't any hard topics in this. It was well written, very enjoyable, had humor, but it wasn't like, sometimes with cozies, it gets kind of corny, the humor. This didn't do that. It just was very well done. I know this is a very long series, and I think Laura Childs writes other series, and one that I've read that takes place in New Orleans, which I enjoyed very much. I enjoy her writing. So this had a tea shop, it had a cool town, it had baked goods, and a cat burglar. Yes, please. So I gave this one 4 stars. And the last prompt is Means, Motive, and Opportunity, a book you already own and are dying to read. So in one of my prior videos when I was talking about this readathon and what I plan to read, I said that I was going to be reading this book, Mixed Up with the Mob by Ginny Aiken. And I changed my mind because I was looking for a book in one of my bookshelves and I found this book, Mistaken for the Mob by Ginny Aiken. And this book was actually before this one. And I'm not sure if the characters will carry over into the next book, but I like to start with book one if I can. And so I read Mistaken for the Mob by Ginny Aiken. And this book is part of the love-inspired suspense, just like the Lois Richer book was, The Silent Enemy. So love-inspired suspense, in case you don't know, is a category romance from Harlequin, and they're clean love stories, and the love-inspired part means that they have faith content. The suspense part means that there's like a mystery or thriller element to it. So this one has to do with the mob. And so it starts with Mary Ann, the librarian, which, side note, that's what the main male character calls her. And after the first time, it really bothered me, and it happens quite a few times in the story. But really, that was about the only thing that bothered me about this book. So this book starts with a misunderstanding of some emails that the librarian Mary Ann has emailed, and now she has the FBI. Jay-Z Prophet and his partner Dan Maddox have come to her town, and they're kind of shadowing her when she goes to visit her father in this retirement community where he's recently moved. People are dying in the retirement community, and the FBI has this lead that they think they got from the emails that it's Mary Ann that's committing these murders, so that she's a hitman or a hit woman or a hit person for the mob. This was such a fun book. I really loved the whole premise of it. I loved the adventure of it. It was one that was hard to put down. So I participated in Celestria's sprints that she had the other night, and I'll link her channel down below. That was like a marathon reading sprint that she had. I think it went for 6 hours, but I was there for it because I couldn't put this book down. It was that good. So I gave this book 4 stars, and I'm definitely gonna keep on going to the next book. Like I said, I don't know if any of the characters carry over, but this one was fun. I like Ginny Aiken's writing in this. The faith content also was so good. Not only was it throughout the book, and it felt really a part of the story and so believable, and just the outcome of it, I just loved it. So this one, again, I gave it 4 stars. So those were the books that I read, guys. My little chart is all filled out. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.